From Dave Grohl being accused of inappropriate behavior, to Gene Simmons losing it on a fellow musician, these are more rock stars that hate each other. And we gotta start with Corey Taylor absolutely roasting Chad Krueger of Nickelback.
Chad Krueger is to rock what KFC is to chicken. You know, that's...
Back in 2002, Corey's band Stone Sour used to share a label with Nickelback. However, Taylor was pissed off because he believed their band was getting special treatment. In fact, he even accused the label of it. "I'm glad they could use our money to make fucking Nickelback happy." That's a very, very bitter subject for me, and if I ever see any of those fuckers, it's going to be brutal. Now, 15 years would pass without either of the two mentioning each other. But then in 2017, Chad Krueger fired some shots. An interviewer praised Stone Sour for being diverse, and Chad did not agree.
Can you name me another band that could play?
I would say Stone Sour, right out of the blue.
Stone Sour?
Stone Sour is it's very diverse too.
Yeah, because they're trying to be Nickelback.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Chad keeps ripping into Taylor and even goes after his other band, Slipknot.
Corey Taylor has said some really nasty things about me before in the press, and he talks about how easy it is to write a hit song. Well, show me. Write one. I've yet to hear one. They're okay. They're not as good as Nickelback. They sound like Nickelback light. We were signed to the same label. They had to put on masks and jump around. How good can your music be if you've got to beat each other up on stage, throw up in your own masks every night?
I will say Chad was pretty harsh here, but Corey would go on to absolutely annihilate him during interviews. You can run your mouth all you want. All I know is that I've been voted the sexiest dude in rock wearing a mask. You've been voted the ugliest dude in rock twice without one. Then in an unexpected turn, the rest of the members of Nickelback called Corey to apologize. They were like, "It's not us, we promise, it's this guy." And I had hung out with the band before and they're super cool dudes. I don't want people holding it against them because it's not them. It's Captain Ego for Planet Douche. I said something like 15 years ago, but I was drinking then. I haven't said anything since. And to this day, Chad has yet to respond. But our next feud isn't just personal, it's a war over Pink Floyd's legacy. And in recent years, it's gotten ugly, with accusations of lip syncing, tax evasion, and even anti-Semitism. To understand how things got this bad between the group, we gotta head back in time to the 1960s. In the early days, Pink Floyd was fronted by a man named Syd Barrett, who would unfortunately have intense mental health struggles, eventually leaving the band in 1968. And that's when David Gilmour was hired as a guitarist, first to help with tours before becoming a full-time member. This new lineup was magic, and by the mid-70s, Pink Floyd was unstoppable. But behind the scenes, bassist Roger Waters was slowly becoming a control freak. With every single album, he was dictating more of the creative process, and even forced keyboardist Richard Wright to resign.
Roger had begun to believe that he was the Pink Floyd. He began to believe that he was
the leader,
but more than that others, we weren't necessary.
By the time the final cut dropped in 1983, the other band members basically said it was Roger's solo album under the Pink Floyd name. This left David Gilmour feeling frustrated and underused, so he began working on his own solo projects. They found success, but when coming back to share this newfound creativity within Pink Floyd, Waters shut him down. And it was at this moment that creative tensions went through the roof. Waters was convinced the band couldn't survive without him, so in 1985 he actually walked away. Little did he know just how wrong he'd be. Gilmour and drummer Nick Mason continued Pink Floyd and found massive commercial success. Waters was so furious by this, he literally took them to court to try to dissolve the band's name. However, the lawsuit was settled out of court, with Pink Floyd continuing to thrive without him. Over the next couple decades, the two barely spoke. But in 2005, against all odds, something incredible happened. For the first time since 1981, the classic Pink Floyd lineup reunited for a benefit concert. Fans across the world went wild begging for a reunion. 2 years later, a $150 million offer to do one last tour. But here's the craziest part. Gilmour turned it down. He stated he didn't care about the money and believed Pink Floyd's legacy was complete, although a lot of fans think this was directly because of his issues with Waters. For years, the feud simmered down to just some occasional jabs during interviews. However, when we got into the 2020s, things would really escalate. First, Waters accused the group of banning his solo work on their website, despite Gilmour's wife promoting her books on there. Then, not long after, Waters posted a series of political tweets, leading Gilmour's wife to unload years of resentment to the world. At Roger Waters, you are anti-Semitic to your rotten core. Also a Putin apologist, and a lying, thieving, hypocritical, tax-avoiding, lip-syncing, misogynistic, sick with envy megalomaniac. Enough of your nonsense. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, Gilmour endorsed the whole thing, retweeting it with just 4 words. Every word demonstrably true. But our next feud involves one of the nicest guys out there, who's been a target of this rock star for over 2 decades. After Kurt Cobain passed away, managing Nirvana's legacy was extremely difficult. Luckily, Dave Grohl and Courtney Love alongside Chris Novoselic went on to form Nirvana LLC, a legal entity to manage the band's music, releases, and profits. And for years, things were civil until 2001 when Courtney dropped a legal bombshell, a lawsuit to dissolve Nirvana LLC, with her arguing Kurt was the sole creative force behind the band. Now, obviously, Dave and Chris pushed back on this, saying Nirvana was a collective effort. The lawsuit stopped the release of a special box set called With the Lights Out, but in the end, they reached a settlement with it eventually being released. After this, the feud went silent. For nearly a decade, no fights, no headlines. But then in 2012, Courtney dropped a shocking allegation. She accused Dave Grohl of making advances towards her daughter, Frances Bean Cobain. Now, almost immediately, Frances stepped forward denying the allegations. While I'm generally silent on the affairs of my biological mother, her recent tirade has taken a gross turn. I have never been approached by Dave Grohl in more than a platonic way. Twitter should ban my mother. And Dave was also quick to respond. Unfortunately, Courtney is on another hateful Twitter rant. These new accusations are upsetting, offensive, and absolutely untrue. The backlash from the incident was so ruthless, Courtney was forced to apologize. And luckily after this, things truly calmed down. In 2014, she and Dave even embraced at Nirvana's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, seemingly ending the drama for good. Or so we thought. 7 whole years later, and Courtney would reignite the feud. In 2021, she accused Dave of profiting off of Kurt's legacy, claiming she was manipulated into signing away the rights to Nirvana's future. 3 months before I left LA, I signed a document that effectively gives Dave and Chris my descendants' money in perpetuity. I was so broken, so scarred, so exhausted by him, I just fucking signed it. But it's a lie. And she did not stop there. Courtney dug into Grohl personally. The chaos and fury over Kurt's death is being directed at me, deflected by Dave, while he enriched and continues to enrich himself, gorging on Kurt's fortune and goodwill. 27 years. I've had enough. Nicest guy in rock? No. Now, it's unclear if this was just a dark time for Courtney, but she did go on to later apologize. It was insensitive and it was wrong. No matter how I feel, there are real people behind my words, and I need to learn to be more responsible with my words. I'm truly sorry for those I've hurt. I will do better. As usual, Dave took the high road and never responded. I can't say the same about Gene Simmons, who snapped on this OG rock star. In 2005, Carlos Santana took shots at Kiss out of nowhere, but more specifically at Gene Simmons, saying, "He is not a musician, he's an entertainer. A musician is John Coltrane, Bob Marley. Kiss is Las Vegas entertainment." And Santana doubled down from here, even going after Gene's image. He wouldn't know what music is anyway. That's why he wears all that stuff. A musician doesn't need the mask and the mascara. Now, if there's one thing Gene's known for, it's firing back. But this time, he just decided to respond with grace. Carlos Santana is cool. His assessment? I have no problem with it. That's why they make menus in restaurants. Not everyone likes the same meal. I wish him well. Gene shut him down with kindness, and after that, we never heard another word from Santana. Although, I can't say the same for Gene. 4 years later, he delivered the final blow while getting ready to go on stage. It's time for us to go out and show the little boys how the big boys do it. I'm sick and tired of these bands like Carlos Santana looking at his shoes and thinking that's a rock concert. Get off the stage. Santana has since never responded. And while their beef was short-lived, I can't say the same for one of the most notorious feuds in music history. Back in the early 90s, Oasis and Blur weren't just the biggest names in Britpop, they were the faces of an all-out culture war. What started as a simple chart battle quickly became North versus South, aka the middle class versus the working class.
Not since the Rolling Stones took on the Beatles has there been such a serious rock and roll rivalry. Blur have always played up their cheeky Londoner image, while Oasis revel in being seen as northern hard men.
Oasis, the no-nonsense, hard-working guys from Manchester. Blur, the posh, artsy Londoners. And for a while, it was just friendly competition. But in 1995, the rivalry would be taken to new heights. They released singles on the same exact day, causing the media to lose it.
The Manchester band Oasis and their arch rivals Blur released new singles today, each hoping to reach the #1 spot next week.
When the numbers came in, Blur was on top, with their song Country House hitting #1 on the UK charts. They even got to rub it in by performing it on Top of the Pops, with their bassist wearing an Oasis shirt. You probably guessed, but Oasis was pissed, with Noel even snapping during an interview saying, "I hope the pair of them catch AIDS and die, because I fucking hate them too." Now, Blur definitely won the battle here, but Oasis was about to win the war. Only a few months later, and they dropped Morning Glory, an album packed with singles including Wonderwall. This time, Oasis wasn't just dominating in the UK, they were taking over in America. The following year, Oasis swept the Brit Awards, while Blur didn't win a single thing. And just to rub salt in the wound as payback, they mocked Blur live in front of millions.
I'd like to thank all the people. All the people, so many people, and they walk your counting hands.
Nowadays, Oasis has major rock accolades, while Blur is loved but not quite on the same level. That said, Dan Albarn did go on to create the Gorillaz, so I doubt he's losing sleep over it. Our final clash wasn't the longest running, but it was pure tension that led to one explosive moment. This feud wasn't about music. It was about something far more personal: Pamela Anderson. See, both Tommy Lee and Kid Rock were married to Pam, with Tommy and her's relationship becoming infamous for a multitude of reasons. A leaked sex tape, substance abuse issues, and of course Tommy's 6-month sentence for hitting Pam while she was pregnant. Fast forward almost a decade later, and Pam is now married to Kid Rock. The three had managed to avoid each other for years, until 2007 when the MTV Video Music Awards put them under the same roof. All night they kept their distance, but then Kid Rock and Tommy somehow come face to face. Now, there's not much footage besides this, but Carson Daly recalls, "From our vantage point, it looked like Tommy Lee went over to say hello to P. Diddy, because Kid Rock was out of his seat. Then Kid Rock came back to his seat and all hell broke loose." Although, Tommy would go on to share a different version of how things went down. "Minding my own biz, I get a tap on the shoulder from Kid Pebble. I stand up and embrace him with a semi-hug and say, 'Hey dude, what's up?' He punches me in the face. Well, if you want to call it that, more like a bitch slap, wuss." However, Kid Rock didn't regret a thing. He later stated Tommy had sent him nasty messages during his divorce with Pam, saying, "I had to do what I had to do because it was a long time coming. It kills me to just be associated with, to even have my name in a sentence with him." And honestly, I kinda agree with Kid Rock here. But click on screen now to watch Rockstars Who Committed Horrible Crimes. Appreciate you watching.